So on that note, let's get started with the presentation. My name is Lindsay Cato, so I'm the MSA recruiter for this program, and I've been working with this program for about 7 years. So I know this program very well, and I really love working with it. I've seen a lot of growth with our students and change within our curriculum and with the industry. So I'm really excited that you're all here and to share more with you about it. I'm also joined by two others. So you can see here Professor Dr. Saeed Modavali, who's our MSA faculty director, as well as one of our alumni. I know it says student there. She is actually one of our alumni now. She just completed her courses over the summer. So Gracie is joining us as well. So you can kind of hear from what the student experience was like as an MSA student. And just kind of going through our agenda. First of all, we want to go through the program and give you an overview of what you can expect. What are some of our program features? What are we looking for? But also the curriculum and some extracurriculars, I guess you could say, some program features that we offer outside of that curriculum to better enhance your studies and your experience as a Robinson student before you graduate and start working in industry. So we'll go through that. Of course, Gracie will share about her experience in the MSA program. So you'll get to hear more from her, in a little bit. And then some next steps and some Q&As. So if you are curious about what the next steps are to apply and you have some questions about the program, we will answer those at the end of the webinar. Of course, if you have questions, you can type them in the chat box in the meantime as we're going through, and we will read and answer those at the end of the webinar. So going forward with that, we'll start with our program overview. So this is a little bit about the faculty that we have in the program. The faculty are incredible. They really are passionate about teaching and helping students understand not just the theory, but also the applied the applied knowledge that you need to get into industry. So they'll bring their experience into the classroom. They're very good about helping students meet outside of class as well. And so you can see here, there's a diverse backgrounds for our professors that are teaching in our program, all PhDs. And so you'll definitely be getting the best of the best here in the program as well. So lots of different specialties that, they're bringing into our curriculum. In terms of the program structure, so the program is a cohort format, meaning that you would start and finish with the same group of students for the most part. It's 3 semesters that you can complete in. So the program does start in the fall every year. So we are admitting currently for fall of 2026. That application is available now. And it is a 30 credit hour curriculum. So 10 courses in total, including your required courses and then your electives. The pace, we do have 2 different options. So you can go full-time, which is 12 to 16 months. That will, fast track you right into the workforce. If you're working full-time, we do not suggest going as a full-time student, especially in this program, because it is a very intense program. And I'm sure Gracie can probably back me up on that, and Saeed. So, it's a lot. We don't want to overwhelm you. We want you to get the most, but we don't want to have you overly stressed. So we have this part-time option for people that are working full-time, that want to take the classes, and have that option to still be able to work full-time while they're doing their studies. So that's 24 plus months for part-time. When you apply, we do look for an undergraduate degree. If you're coming from overseas and you're not sure if it's equivalent to a bachelor's degree here in the US, you can get that evaluated through NACES, through an official evaluation service if you would like. But just know that when you do apply, we will have our own in-house evaluation done to make sure that it is equivalent to a bachelor's degree in the US. So if you're not sure, if you want to do that on your own, you're welcome to, but not required because we have our own team doing their evaluation as well. We do not require the GRE GMAT scores. That is optional, but I will say this, if it's something that you are really strong, like you really want to submit those scores, highly recommend speaking with me before you do that, just because sometimes the scores, if they're strong and they're in the 80th percentile or better on the quantitative portion, that's great. And that's something that will definitely help your application. But if it's not, it could also hurt the application. And so we don't want you to do that. We want to make sure that you are, you are sure about the scores that you're submitting. So feel free to check in with me and I'll give you information on how you can do that if you want to talk before you submit. TOEFL or IELTS, if you're coming from, again, overseas, look for a 90 on the TOEFL or 6.5 on the IELTS. We do not accept Duolingo, unfortunately. And then also for programming experience, that is not required. That is just recommended. I just want to make sure that's clear because we will teach you from the ground up. So if you have it, make sure it's highlighted on your resume, but if not, that's okay too. We just like to see it if you have it, and it will help, of course, going into the program. But if you have full-time experience, that's great too. You can bring in some domain knowledge that will help you and enhance your experience as you're learning these different concepts in the program, but again, not required. So all of the courses are going to be in our Buckhead Center. Not many people know that we are in Buckhead, but we are. So that's where all of your courses will be actually. We are right next to the MARTA train stop in Atlanta. So you can walk literally from MARTA to our campus. And you can see here the courses are full-time. We have the early afternoon courses, evening. We have the part-time courses or part-time students rather. If you're a full-time student, yes, you can still take evening courses if you want, but that's something that, we can talk to you more about, when the time comes, but there is that flexibility there if you prefer. So, and just a little bit about our rankings here on this slide as well, just to kind of highlight that. We do have two concentrations in our program. So the concentration that a lot of students have been going into is the data science and business, which is the one that you hear a lot about, which is, being able to communicate data concepts within a business setting. So understanding, statistical modeling, predictive analytics, machine learning, all of those tools are taught, but how to apply it in a business setting. So if that's something that you're interested in, we'll show you that curriculum shortly. But we do have something else called the legal analytics concentration, which is in partnership with our law school. So if you are looking to be maybe a legal analyst or, the law side of analytics, you want to apply those two together, you can do this concentration. Most of the courses are the same. It's just that you're going to be substituting out a legal analytics course and a text analytics course, as well as courses at the GSU Law School. So that's, that is kind of an interesting option that a lot of people have been thinking about. But also, if you wanted to even go a step further and do your JD, we do have a dual JD MSA program as well. So that's something that is an option to keep in mind too, if you're also thinking about that. So we have two tracks within each concentration, and you can see here kind of who should apply for which track. We have our more STEM background individuals going into the data scientist track. They have advanced math, calculus, and algebra and statistics. And then we have the people with the non-STEM backgrounds. If you have business background, you have statistics knowledge, that's great and will help you. But again, that's still not required because we'll talk about the two differences between the data scientist and the citizen data scientist. I want you all to understand that the difference is not in value. The difference is just in what you're bringing to the table in these roles. We need both. We need people doing both of these things, and I'll show you that in a second. But in terms of the curriculars, you're still getting the same thing. The sprints, the boot camps, we'll talk about that in a little bit. You're still getting most of the same courses. It's just 4 courses that are going to be switched out from the citizen track that are usually in the data scientist track. So again, you're still learning a lot of the same things, but it's just that we want to make sure you're not going to be over your head with math if you don't have a math background, for example. So on that note, what's the difference between a data scientist and a citizen data scientist? Well, one example is thinking of it like a car and a road trip, for example. So a data scientist is someone who, understands the ins and outs of the car. They can fix the little things that are going wrong with the engine and the little things that are going wrong with the air conditioner and all that kind of stuff. So basically they can fine tune stuff. They can know things inside and out and how to fix that specific problem. such as an AI model, for example. The citizen data scientist is kind of like the driver, and they get to use the car to get somewhere important. So there's someone that can actually take the data that they're getting and explain, how are we going to use this data? How can we, what issues do we see within the data? They're getting clean data sets given to them. So they're able to kind of make those decisions, those business decisions, right? And help business stakeholders to come up with the best solutions for their company. So they have some domain knowledge, which is helpful, but they're able to understand the ins and outs enough to navigate how to address these challenges that come up in business. So again, both are important, both have value. It's just one's building the solution, the other one's helping you getting you to that resolution and to a solution that you can bring to the table for a business. So now we're going to turn it over to the curriculum and program features. So I'm going to turn it over to Saeed here to talk a little bit about the two different tracks.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Lindsay. My name is Saeed Mutaballi. I'm a clinical assistant professor here and the director of the Master of Science Analytics program. Welcome to the webinar. In terms of tracks and courses that we are offering, as Lindsay mentioned, regardless of the track, you need to take 10 courses to get to your master's. And then course names are different between the tracks, but at the end of the day, regardless of the track, you pretty much get the same content. But the difference is in citizen track, we have a student with different backgrounds, but in the data science track, our students are with the STEM background, right? So in terms of the courses, this is a cohort base, so there's not much flexibility in terms of the courses. There are some, but toward the end. But at the beginning, the first year, when you come to our program in the first fall, you are taking data programming. And so in that course, we teach about SQL, MongoDB, and this semester, I think, I'll add a few other things, but this is pretty much about the SQL and structured and unstructured databases for data management, sorry. And then for data programming, we teach Python, pretty much Python libraries, NumPy, Pandas, and all of that. And then toward the end of the course in data programming, you learn how to do modeling. If you are in the DS track, we go deeper into modeling, but if you're in the citizen track, we kind of keep it shallow. And then we have a statistic, as you may know, to be able to work around data, you need to have with a statistic background. Again, this is a course that regardless of the track you need to take. And then we have communicating with data course, which is, we just added that course last year. The concept is this course used to be data visualization, but now we think that it's not only about doing the visualization, it's about telling a story about the data. So we try to help the student to think, okay, so at the end of the day, I know you use libraries to have this beautiful graph, but how can you present this graph? How can you tell a story about the data, right? So that is what you're emphasizing in that course. And then these are four courses that you take in fall. So technically all of them have 3 credit hours, except the last one, 10.5 credit hours for your first fall, right? And then the spring semester, you take machine learning, right? And then which we talk about all of the different modeling, machine learning from linear regression, logistic, and it goes on. To the it goes to the rest of the modeling that we have in machine learning. And then we have a course called deep learning. In this course, it used to be deep learning, but now it's deep learning and Gen AI. So we talk about the deep learning models, and on top of it, we talk about the Gen AI, the new trend that all of us heard about this. So we talk about the modeling of the Gen AI in deep learning and Gen AI course. And then so you get to know the modeling, but at the end of the day, you want to see how you can actually apply this modeling into business domains, right? So that's why we have a course called Building Gen AI Business Solutions, which means that you learn about the, Gen AI modeling, but the application of this modeling in the business domain as well. So that is what we learn in this course. And then the last one is predictive analytics. Technically, that course is it's a time series. So if the sequence of event is happening, can it lead to something, right? Can we understand something from that? That is a mini master, it's only 1.5 credit, but the others are 3 credit hours. So by the end of the spring semester, you have 21 credit hours, right? Then, as I mentioned before, like you need 30 credit hours, right? So like you will left with 3 electives. You can do summer internship and then get like 3 credits from that. Maximum of 6 credit hours is applicable in our school, like for internship. But overall, you need 3 courses. You can take electives. We offer text analytics in our department. We used to offer graph. Maybe we do again. So like but any courses that we offer at Robinson in general, whether you're finance background or you're interested in MBA, you want to take courses over there, like whatever it is, you can take those courses in that domain expertise that you like. Yeah, and for citizen track is pretty much the same thing. The course naming is a little bit different. Like for instance, like the first one is like data programming, predictive analytics. But in general, like the content are almost the same. As I mentioned, like we go, like if you're a DS track, we go deep into mathematics, right? Because I know that you guys have a background. But in citizen track, we you don't go that deep in math, but still you need to be able to code at the end of the when you're graduating from our program. One thing I want to mention is like a lot of students come to our program without any coding background or like not they're not a STEM background, and we help them through boot camps. Like this year, like we had a series of boot camps even before the semester gets started, so we were able to like kind of give them a little help before the program starts. So students come to our program without coding or they're not like a STEM background, but they come with the domain expertise, and they come to our citizen track, and they're welcome here. So in terms of courses, they're pretty much the same courses. 4 courses fall, the 4 courses spring, and then 3 electives to finish the program. All right, back to you, Lizzie.
Okay, thanks, Said.
So,
Yeah, so one of the things that we also offer that I mentioned earlier in the program is we have these sprint projects, we call them. And so to add to your learning, it's not just in the classroom, right? And hearing about examples, it's actually applying these techniques that you're learning in class to actual real world problems. And so we pair up with different companies that you see on the screen here, for example. And the students will pair off into groups and also work with a faculty member and a representative from the company. And so they will come up with different solutions that they present to the company at the end of the semester. So they usually meet weekly throughout the semester, and then they present to the company representatives at the end. So it's really great experience. It's great to show on your resume, great for networking, right? Because of course, you're going to be wanting to get a job. So it's great to be in front of these companies. And if you want to see some of the other, sprints that we've worked on, you can go to that QR code on the bottom of your screen. But basically, you'll pair up, you see on the bottom right there's a picture of tables with like a big computer screen. So that's one of our labs that we've used, and you can work together collaboratively on your projects using those. So it's great experience. Again, a great way to start presenting and using those communication skills in addition to understanding, how to break apart different problems and then come up with solutions. The other thing that we also offer within our program is Insight boot camps. And so these are throughout every semester. These are usually Fridays into Saturdays, like Friday afternoons into Saturdays that we have them. And it's really to, again, enhance your knowledge before you get out into the real world. So maybe you want to learn more about our programming, more than you're learning in your classroom, or you want to go further into and take an advanced R programming boot camp, for example. You could do that. We also have, we've offered a blockchain in the past. We've had, different Amazon Web Services, for example. So it's really, again, to add more tools to your toolbox. It's included in your tuition already, so you're not paying anything extra. So we highly, highly, highly recommend doing this, taking advantage of it while you're a student, because the more you know, the more you come out with, it's going to be helpful to you in terms of interviewing and finding that next job too. And then industry competitions. So we do have case competitions that we travel to. So some of our students we've had competitions here at Robinson, and then also competitions that we've gone to nationwide. So here at Robinson, we did a poster competition, for example, and we had first, second, third prizes. And those people that presented the first prize were able to go to the nationwide competition. So it's kind of a fun, but also a really good way to, put your skills to the test and win a cash prize. Not a bad deal. But also, get again in front of other employers, start networking, and start showing your skills off. So something else that we just started doing a couple of years ago, which is a really great experience. And then another feature, we have dual degrees with our analytics program. So I mentioned the JD program with MSA. We also do pair up MSA with the MBA, with the marketing degree, quantitative risk analysis, and also our actuarial science degrees. So if you want to take your degree a step further and get additional knowledge, maybe you're kind of, open to working as an actuary as well, and bringing your analytic skills there. For example, you can look into doing the MSA and MAS program. So if you go to that QR code, you can learn more about them. But of course, I can connect you with the appropriate recruiter to talk to you about those as well. And oops, sorry. Now I'm going to turn it over to Gracie to talk a little bit about her experience as a student and here in the MSA program.
Hi, everyone. I'm Gracie Rayberg. Like Lindsay said, I recently graduated from the MSA program, specifically the data scientist track. That was this past August. I now work as an analyst at Home Depot's corporate office. And before the MSA, I earned my bachelor's from Georgia Tech and interned at Delta Airlines in their corporate security department. So I chose the MSA because I wanted a program that would prepare me to grow both in my career and also give me valuable skills to help me adapt to data and AI as they transform business and decision making. And so I found the curriculum to be very rigorous, but also very current and very applicable. I wanted to talk about two courses that really stood out to me. One was data management with Dr. Motivali. He was my professor. He's also in this call. You just heard from him. That course really gave me a foundation for building robust data pipelines, data modeling, and governments. I use the skills that I learned in that class almost daily in my current job as an analyst, also ensuring data integrity and scalability within production environments. And like I said, that was just a super valuable course for me, and all of the courses were very valuable to me. Another course I wanted to mention was machine learning for analytics. That course really, I think, kind of expanded my toolkit. I learned to train different machine learning models in that course, focusing on feature engineering, hyperparameter tuning, different evaluation metrics. And these different skills are super critical, I think, in the current world right now with AI growing and data-driven decisions growing. So really learned a lot there with those courses. And if none of that makes sense, they'll explain that in the course. So no worries there. I know that was a lot of technical jargon, but I didn't know any of that too before I came to the MSA program. So no worries there. And then I also wanted to talk about beyond the classroom. Lindsay was talking through the sprint projects a second ago. Those were another really great highlight. I worked with Dr. Baird on a project with the Shepherd Center Hospital. That's a big hospital here in Atlanta. We analyzed data from their speech pathology and rehabilitation clinics. Basically, our goal was just to clean up. They were gathering all of this data, and our goal was to clean up and normalize this clinical data, identify different predictive features, and build models to kind of track those features and just to see how we can improve the patient outcome tracking. And so it was a very rewarding project. It was kind of a true end-to-end experience. We started with the data, we cleaned it up, we did some exploratory analysis on it. We worked on selecting a model for it. And then in the end, we communicated our findings to the doctors. So the project really taught me how to kind of translate technical findings into actionable recommendations, and then also how to communicate those findings to kind of a non-technical group or stakeholders. And that's a skill I've definitely use on a day-to-day basis. So I really enjoyed that project and felt like it was a really great complementary kind of thing that the GSU MSA program offers. And then another strength are also the boot camps. I attended a lot of the boot camps, and I found that, data science is always evolving fast, and our faculty acknowledges this, and, you can't fit everything into a core curriculum, and there's just so much to learn. So the boot camps that are offered, I think both virtually and in person, cover all sorts of topics. The ones that I really appreciated were the R programming ones, looking at advanced Python libraries. So there are some machine learning ones. I know Lindsay just had a list of those, but there's a bunch that are offered throughout the school year. And these sessions really help me stay ahead on, emerging trends and tools that are coming out in the field. So also really appreciated that. And then finally, the Career Services Center that GSU has was, I think, super instrumental in my success. So the center helps you refine your resume, practice technical and behavioral interviews. They also help you kind of navigate the job market, knowing where to apply, how to apply, just general best practices. They also host different networking events and job fairs with top employers. Employers around the country, and then also employers here in Atlanta, which I think was super key in helping me land my current role with Home Depot. And so yeah, I just wanted to sum up everything. So if you're considering the MSA, here's what you kind of can expect. You'll get industry relevant technical depth in data and AI. You'll have hands-on experience solving real-world problems and seeing those solutions kind of come to life within business. And then you also get structured support to launch and accelerate your career. So there's definitely a great return on investment with this program. And that combination of things I just mentioned turned out to be very valuable for me. And so, yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions. I think Lindsay said she might share my email. Please also feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. My name's up there. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Gracie. Appreciate that. That's a really good comprehensive overview of everything to experience as a student. So you could see that there's just so many things going on, and you want to, to make the most of your time because it is a short program. You want to take advantage of all these, different things that are being offered, like boot camps and the services that CAC offers as well, because it does go fast. I mean, Gracie just started last fall and now she's done. So that's a big example right there. So in terms of your next steps for the program, like if you're interested in moving forward, one thing you want to think about, of course, is the financial costs. I know this is never a fun topic to bring up, but seeing the value that you're getting from the MS program just kind of justifies, I guess, what these tuition costs are bringing. So you're not only getting the courses and you're getting the projects, you're getting the boot camps, you're getting the graduate career services. And so when you do apply, these are, for in-state, out of country, these are the tuition rates for 2025. We don't have 2026 just yet. Those usually come out early next year. But I imagine they'll be pretty much around the same. We've actually kept our in-state tuition the same for the last 2 years. So I am confident that it will stay, but I can't make any guarantees right now. When you do apply, we do look for an application fee, $50 application fee. There is a seat deposit after you are admitted. So it's a $250 seat deposit that confirms your spot in the class. That does come back to you later on after you enroll, but we would actually after you get admitted, rather, you would be asked to submit that deposit. And then other fees, of course, related to student fees, those are outside of the health insurance fees. Those are outside of the tuition and fees breakdown. So if you want to actually see more about what an actual breakdown would look like with a graduate assistantship, for example, or without a graduate assistantship, you can email our RCB financial aid team. I can put their email address, excuse me, in the chat box. And if you want to reach out to them, they can give you a sample breakdown of what each semester would look like based on the credits that you're taking and, the waiver if you're getting a GRA, for example. So highly recommend doing that. When you apply, we do look for a couple of things. So the application fee, you would actually be getting that waived since you attended this webinar today. So great job on you all for joining. Basically, when you submit your application, we will have that fee automatically waived once all of the requirement documents are submitted, all the required steps are completed. So once you do that, we make sure that it is all ready to go, and then we would have that fee automatically waived. And we do like, the test scores, there is an option to submit test scores. Again, if you wanted to do that for GRE, GMAT, because they are not required, like I mentioned, but you have a section to do that. And then also IELTS or TOEFL, you'll see that section as well. Transcripts from your undergraduate degrees or graduate degrees that you've completed. So these are just scanned copies, PDFs. We don't need the official copies until after you are admitted for a program. So just know that you don't need to struggle to get the official copies sent until after you've gotten your admission. So we just need to see those scanned copies, and then the degree certificate, of course, too, if you're coming from overseas. Personal statement, just outlining your goals, why you're pursuing this program at this time, why this specific program, and how you think that it'll help you get to your career goals. Those are the things that we look for in making sure that you're a good fit for this program and a good fit for Robinson, of course. So just make sure that's clear. And it's usually like a page to a page and a half. But if you need more guidance, you can always join me in my virtual office hours for that. Resume, just your experience, where you worked, how long you were there, what you were doing, those specific details in terms of your duties. So make sure that is clear, and any technical skills, definitely highlight that on your resume. And then letters of recommendation, not required, but we would love to see them if you have a supervisor or, a previous professor that can speak well on your behalf. And then lastly, the video interview is really where you tell more about who you are, why you're pursuing this program as well. So treating it like a regular interview that you would go on for a job, but really you're just going to see 4 questions on the screen, and you'll have 5 minutes to answer those questions. And so they're more so about your interest in the program, challenges you think you might face in the program. So nothing technical, but we really use it to get to know you a little bit better. So just prepare for it as you would any interview, of course. And then you can see the deadlines if you go to that actual QR code on the screen there in front of you. And another thing we want to also mention too, if you want to connect with a current student, we have ambassadors that are on our Unibuddy page. That's a platform that we use where you can message with current students. So if you go to that QR code as well, you can reach out to any of our students. We do have an MSA student on there as well, but these are all of the ambassadors that are currently here at Robinson. So I highly encourage you to do that if you can. And then, of course, following us on social media, because we do post a lot throughout different social media channels, so you can see what's going on across Robinson. So feel free to scan that QR code as well, and make sure you follow us to see any updates that are going on around campus. And so, as I mentioned before, as a thank you for attending, we can offer you that $50 application fee waiver. You would submit your application, leave that application fee unpaid, because once you pay it, unfortunately, we cannot waive it at that point. So it needs to be unpaid. And you would get that fee waiver added within 10 business days. If you do not see it within 10 business days, you can always reach out to us at that RCB grad admissions email address, and we will look into it. But just know that because you're attending this live webinar, you are qualified for that application fee waiver. If you are listening to a recording, unfortunately, that does not qualify for an application fee waiver. So you would need to attend a live event to get that. But I can always direct you to those live events if needed. And then this is my email address and our RCB grad email address too. So if you want to follow up, or if you want to connect with me via Zoom, you can actually go to that QR code on the screen, and you'll be able to join my weekly virtual office hours and ask any questions that you have there. I have students that join those hours as well. So if you want to also talk to a student, get more experience, understanding of being a GRA or being a student here at Robinson, you can feel free to do that.